Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Portimão circuit here in Portugal. It's round 4 of our Ferrari Challenge for 2024. It's a fantastic calendar this year, and we are right in the middle of it right now here, where the weather is utterly beautiful here in the Algarve. Today the temperature is glorious, and as you can see, a clear blue sky greets us. And I was saying about the calendar, well, we've been to Mugello and Balaton in Hungary, Jerez in Spain. Here we are in Portugal. We head out to the south of France, then Germany, and then the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy for the final round in Imola. What a calendar. And this circuit here in Portimão, then, quite a test for our drivers. Now, depending upon how you count the turns, whether it's 14 or 15 is disputable. What is not in dispute is the start-finish straight, which is among the longest. It's a kilometre long, as near as makes no difference. You carry so much speed into turn number 1. It's a track that really the drivers can't afford to relax even for a millisecond. 44 degrees the track temperature, 23 degrees the air temperature, and there's a pleasing breeze of around 17 kilometres per hour to try and take the edge off the really rather lovely temperatures here in Portugal. So what do we got to come then? The Coppa AM race, as we look at the cars lining up on the grid. And the first of those that we look at right now is the really rather lovely car of one of our drivers, Andrea Levy. And Andrea Levy perhaps qualifying a little bit out of position, I'm tempted to say. There's Zoe Scrimpias, who also has been bested to pole position, which is not something that has often happened in Coppa AM since he made his debut with no racing experience at the beginning of the year. Zoe Scrimpias, driver of the 168 car. Driver of the microphone that is next to me is Nico Spalek, and always delighted to have him alongside with his offers of insight and information, as we see Andrea Fausti, who is the driver coach to Stephen Earle, talking to him just at the just in the final stages of preparation before this 30-minute plus 1 lap race. Nico, sorry I introduced you and then didn't let you speak. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and as you said, Zoe Scrimpias has taken the Ferrari Challenge Coppa AM by storm, but taken by storm in qualifying. It was this man, Jan Sandman, who we met at the Winter Challenge in the Middle East, but this is his first ever pole position in Europe, and he's done it in style with more than half a second to the good.
It was a dominant performance from Jan during qualifying, but he didn't have it all his own way. I mean, he was pushing so hard during qualifying, at one point losing the back end of the car and doing a 360 on the track, but he was undaunted by that, unfazed by that. He came back and he did it all over again. And I think what impressed me the most was not only his utter determination to take pole position, but it was his utter determination to do it by a margin which is very, very large. When you've got drivers of the caliber of this man, Eric Cheong, who you're competing against in qualifying, and critically for Jan, it gives him the best starting position, of course, on the grid. It gives him a additional point for taking pole position, and sets himself up really rather nicely for what should be a good race in Coppa AM, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one who has really, really shown what he can do all weekend long is Roland Hurtner. I mean, he really has proven that he gets both the team as well as himself are one with the circuit, and they're really in sync with everything. And another very, very good qualifying performance from Shintaro Akatsu, who will start P3 right behind Jan Sandman, and we have him center shot here, third place on the grid. He has figured in the season so far very visibly and had some good sessions. Didn't have all the results come his own way, but this qualifying session really, really sets him up very nicely for the race to come in 4 minutes and a little bit.
And it's great to see that we have a Portuguese team and a Portuguese racer on the track as well. And they, of course, have been racing all season long, but of course to have a home gig like this one, it means something very, very special indeed. And well, Alvaro Ramos, a superman to talk to, and the team are so welcoming and so really enthused about being here on the grid of the Ferrari Challenge. I think, to the best of my knowledge, Nico, the first time we've had a Portuguese team in the Ferrari Challenge in Europe. I might be wrong, but I'm pitching myself there at a hope. And this is Andreas Koenig for the Haupt Racing team. And Andreas Koenig, who yesterday you could see that he wasn't feeling 100%, Nico. You could tell that in his racecraft. Today, he tells me he's feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah, definitely. He a race winner already this year, and you could see that he wasn't 100%, as you already mentioned. Talk to him, he feels better, and it's a little bit cooler than yesterday. That will also help.
Yes.
For the Pirelli P0 tires, which the drivers race on, but also for the drivers, especially when you're not feeling up to your potential, it's going to be a little bit easier.
You make a very valid point. As the tyre trolleys are wheeled away, then as we once again look at the 159 car, and I want to really reinforce what Nico was saying about the Engstler Gome Motorsport driver Roland Hurtner looking really good.
For the first time in series history, the Ferrari Esports Series brings you the Thrustmaster Community Cup. Held over 10 rounds from July to October on Assetto Corsa Competizione, you'll go up against the very best to compete in a series of hot lap challenges. Set the fastest hot lap for your chance to win Thrustmaster prizes and an opportunity to join the series finalists as the Thrustmaster wildcard at the live action grand final at Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. Do you have what it takes? Register today and join the grid.
Sorry, I was just filling in the registration form as we speak for the esports. I think that's a bit of me. No? Okay. Thanks, Nico, for your vote of confidence.
You can do it. I'm sure you can do
it. Good luck to everyone that does take part in that. Brilliant opportunity. So, as we take a small walk through the grid of cars then that are lined up, we're just awaiting that board to go up, which gives the drivers indication of how long they've got to wait before we will get the formation lap underway, being led away, of course, by the Richard Mille safety car. And I was holding on to that board in the little bit of wind is going to be very tricky. So the Kessel Racing driver, Jan Sandman, he's on pole position. And earlier on in the weekend, we spoke to him.
Being a Ferrari driver was always like a childhood dream. I started collecting Ferraris very early. And then I started racing very late. So just started racing last season to get the racing license for competing in the Ferrari Challenge. I feel very, very excited. Everything was new and the adrenaline and the stress was very high. I just tried to get ready very, very early, go inside the car and just close my helmet and be just me and the car. We always have very high expectations, and this is also sometimes a problem because it puts a lot of pressure on me. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Of course, we want to finish minimum in the top 3. The feeling is absolutely perfect. The car is amazing. It's a lot of fun to drive, and it's a big pleasure driving the car.
Jan Sandman then. When you look at what he is doing out there on track, you find it hard to believe that he's not had that much racing experience. We met him at the Winter Challenge of the Ferrari Challenge earlier on this year, and it's remarkable in this hugely competitive Coppa Shell-Am grid that we have two relative rookies on the front row. And it is Jan Sandman that is going from pole position. Thrilled for him because he's, as he says, he sets himself high expectations. He's truly delivered today. So the safety car leads the car's way then on the formation lap. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. The new race duration for Ferrari Challenge races here in Europe for 2024. Hold on, we're about to go racing.
Yeah, today the qualifying session was quite nice. We went out on old tires, had a good pace on the old tires, and then we switched on new tires. I was quite fast, but I still did some mistakes. We can go faster, so the expectations for the race are really high for me. Just need to put everything together and be as quick as possible.
And putting everything together here at the Portimão circuit is not as easy as perhaps it may look. It's a very demanding track, that's for sure, and very undulating, as we can see as we ride on board with the safety car and climbing up from the hairpin then, and then this roller coaster continues as you then run downhill. Such a competitive grid of cars. Of course, we will be bringing you the grid in full in due course as well. But Jan Sandman and Zoe Skrimpias going from the front row of the grid. Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am, and here is the grid in full. So going from P1, his first pole position, Jan Sandman, Zoe Skrimpias alongside. Shintaro Akatsu going to be a danger man from there, and so too is Eric Chung from P4. Talal Shire goes from P5, and Roland Hertner, P6. Andreas Koenig, another driver that could do some overtaking. He's alongside the local star Alvaro Ramos. Stephen Earle and Guy Favre go from P9 and P10 on our Coppa Shell Am grid, with Andrea Levy and Paolo Scudieri P11 and P12. Mutlu and Louis Perusquia go from P13 and P14. And Lisa Clark then on P15 for this, the second race across this Ferrari Challenge race weekend for our Coppa Shell Am drivers. So they will line up in side-by-side formation, and the formation lap will reach its conclusion when the safety car peels off into the pit lane. The drivers have to all accurately go through their grid boxes, Nico, and then if race direction are happy, we get the race underway.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 cars ready to do battle. The primary overtaking opportunities are early in the lap here. It's into turn 1 and then the hairpin, the obvious spot through turn 4. But, you know, in the Ferrari Challenge, drivers are kind of creative in where they try and make an overtake and sometimes create opportunities. So hold on, it's going to be exciting.
It is for sure. So the safety car will peel off to the pit lane on the right-hand side of your picture here. It becomes the responsibility of Jan Sandman and Zoe Skrimpias to control the pace of the rolling start then as they head towards the lighting gantry. And when those 5 red lights go out, we will be racing. Keep your eyes on the likes of Eric Chung and Andreas Koenig as we go racing. Andreas Koenig immediately diving to the middle of the pack to try and make headway. Zoe Skrimpias trying to out-drag our pole sitter Jan Sandman going into turn number 1. You've got to be really brave going around the outside here. Jan Sandman just picking up a little bit of curb, which may have disadvantaged him, but no, he closes the door. But look at Eric Chung. He puts himself on the inside of Zoe Skrimpias to secure P2, and once that hole is opened up, Shintaro Akatsu tried to take advantage. I did say keep your eyes on Andreas Koenig. He's moved up a couple of paces already. And Rao, for the first time of asking, down to the hairpin we go then. Jan Sandman, Eric Chung, then it's Zoe Skrimpias, and Andreas Koenig is up to P4 with Roland Hertner coming through as well. Running wide there is the local star Alvaro Ramos, as all cars getting away nicely right at the start of this 30-minute plus 1 lap race for Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am. We're live from the Portimão circuit. And what a race we have got in prospect then, with Jan Sandman leading from pole position, breaking away a little bit from Eric Chung. In fact, those two drivers breaking away from the rest of the pack a little bit too. It's Zoe Skrimpias P3, but he has got Andreas Koenig for company. And then it's Roland Hertner running in P5 ahead of Shintaro Akatsu. Then it's Talal Shire, Alvaro Ramos and Andrea Levy, with Paolo Scudieri completing the top 10. Now, Eric Chung gets a little bit closer to Jan Sandman, and the rolling downhill then as we're about to conclude the first lap of this Coppa Shell Am race. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Carry as much speed as you can through that final turn. You roll downhill, and then you have a slight uphill climb on this very long, almost kilometre-long start-finish straight. As Jan Sandman crosses the timing line, the gap between P1 and P2 is just under 7/10, Nico.
Yeah, first lap is in the books, and Jan Sandman did what he wanted to do, what he said he expects from himself. He fended off the attack by Zoe Skrimpias as Andrea Levy takes a look on the inside. The two cars running side by side, track limits is going to be a topic that we will talk about a little bit later, but all as they were after that attack from Andrea Levy on Alvaro Ramos, who uses his track knowledge and stays ahead.
Yes, of course, he probably has more knowledge of the Portimão circuit than any other driver, and you can see the progress chart on the left-hand side of your screen, or you could just momentarily keep your eyes on those that have moved up the order, including the likes of Eric Chung, then moving up 2 places on the opening lap of this race. But even though he's running P2, Jan Sandman is undaunted by the fact that he has Eric Chung for company, and Zois Skrimpias not so far behind either. They are P1, 2, and Zois Skrimpias, Andreas Koenig, P3 and 4, with Roland Hurtner steadfast in that P5 position ahead of Shintaro Akatsu. And then it's Talal Shayeb and Andrea Levy ahead of Alvaro Ramos and Paolo Scudieri. So, as they climb uphill once again, then 4-way fight going on here, and on the back of that pack is the 1-2-4 car of Talal Shayeb. There's Andreas Koenig. He's being pressured, rather, by Roland Hurtner, and I have to say, this weekend, I don't know whether it's just the track combination, but we're seeing Roland Hurtner absolutely at his best. Some of the best driving I've seen from Roland Hurtner. And there, the top 3 are all gapped at similar margins, to be honest. And Zois Skrimpias, who has had something of a privileged existence in the Ferrari Challenge thus far in the season, but brought upon by himself and the talent that he has shown in the Ferrari Challenge, that's for sure. He's running down there in P3. There's Andreas Koenig, who just yesterday was not as comfortable in the race as he would have liked to have been, not feeling 100%. Absolutely nothing wrong with the car, the team, or the preparations, just the fact that Andreas was not feeling so good. Okay, Nico, what can you bring us from the timing screen?
We're not quite sure. Mutlu Tasev has dropped down the timing chart, so we don't know if he had an incident or an off. Haven't seen anything to indicate what happened there. In the meantime, Jan Sandman keeps leading away, and he did that from the start.
And there's a replay of the start then, as they all, and there was Andreas Koenig diving to the middle. And of course, Zois Skrimpias trying to go around the outside. You look at these. Zois Skrimpias was in a perfect position, so too was Eric Chung. And at one moment, there were 3 abreast as they ran over the crest and began to run downhill. And there was the Andreas Koenig move to put himself between Roland Hurtner and Mutlu Tasev going in towards the first turn. Now, this was where Zois Skrimpias was trying to be king of the late breakers, and I wondered whether we were going to be in a strife there, because just getting caught on the curb there was our race leader, Jan Sandman. We've got a safety car, and that's the reason why, Nico, you brought up the fact that you could see Mutlu Tasev was dropping down the screen, and his car is just into the gravel. Look, the back end of the car is in the gravel, which probably means he can't get it out of there. So the safety car is called for. Big loser in all of this, of course, is our race leader, as is often the case with a safety car, Jan Sandman, who'd built a margin of nearly a second and a half over Eric Chung. All of a sudden, that gap has gone away because it gets nullified by the safety car, which we're waiting on board with right now.
Yeah, definitely. One of the winners of this safety car phase is Andrea Levy, who, as we saw earlier, was able to overtake Alvaro Ramos and did a few more overtakes after that, but he was quite a little bit away from the top 7. We had those group of the top 3, and then the Andreas Koenig, Roland Hurtner, Shintaro Akatsu and Talal Shahir fight group, and there was a big gap to him, and that gap obviously now also disappeared. You already mentioned that he qualified out of position, so he's caught up with all the drivers ahead of him.
So the Ferrari Challenge 296 car, which is packed with fantastic technology and so many safety features, and indeed in-car marshalling system as well, Nico, really supporting and maintaining Ferrari's quest to be the absolute best, no question about that. The integral safety of these cars is awesome, absolutely awesome. So we await the Mutlu Tasev car to be recovered, and once that has been recovered, we will be able to go back to racing. I don't feel like it's going to be a long period of the safety car. Progress chart on the left-hand side on the graphics. Eric Chung up 2, Andreas Koenig up 3. Also up 3, Andrea Levy and Paolo Scudieri, who you mentioned, Nico. So that just giving you some indicator of who is doing what and where in the early stages of this race, which unfortunately is brought under the control of the safety car just for the moment. But as I say, I don't think it's going to be a long interruption the team here doing a good job in terms of recovering cars. If the race were to end now, Zoe Skrimpias would be on 105 points. P2 in the championship would be Eric Chung. P3 would be Andreas Koenig. And look at Jan Sandman all of a sudden come calling P5 if it all ended right now. Of course, we have another 22.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race to do. And the one thing I will say about safety cars, Nico, is, of course, for us, it provides extraordinary opportunity for the drama to unfold once again. Because although it was single file start, it will be starting all over again, and those drivers that feel that they're a little bit out of position or disadvantaged will feel this is another opportunity for them to make hay while the sun shines, and it does here in Portimão.
Yeah, it's a very nice mix of metaphors and absolutely accurate. We still have one more lap behind the safety car, but we hope that within the next minute or so we will get the indication that the safety car might come in at the conclusion of the lap, that our grid is just beginning. And yes, there is also the saying that safety cars breed safety cars, because it brings everybody very, very close together, and there is a sense of urgency which very often goes right, but occasionally it goes wrong.
I never ever say that because I always feel that that's like a curse from the commentator. You know, I'm always concerned, but yes, there is no question about it when everyone gets bunched up again. As we look at the 119 car of Louis Peruskia. Now, the great thing about the Ferrari Challenge, which is this most wonderful one-make series which stretches around the world, is, of course, we race here in Europe, but not only here in Europe. Next weekend, we'll be racing in North America. The weekend after that, we'll be racing in the UK. And, of course, we have a Japan series as well. Really stretches all around the world. And new for 2025 will be the Australasia region of the Ferrari Challenge. So wherever it is in the world that you happen to live, you're not going to be far away from a Ferrari Challenge racing event that is sure to compel you to watch all season long. Absolutely brilliant. And this car, the all-new Ferrari Challenge 296 car, introduced at the beginning of this year, of course, as the de rigueur Ferrari Challenge car. I'm yet to meet a driver that jumps out of this Ferrari Challenge 296 without the biggest smile on their face, because it is just such a rewarding car to drive. Safety car will come in at the conclusion of this lap, and therefore we are going to have 19 minutes left on the clock by the time the safety car has pulled over into the pit lane. So what Jan Sandman needs to do here, Nico, now bearing in mind Jan Sandman with relatively little race experience, how is he going to cope with this safety car restart? So Jan will decide, and only he can decide, when he wants to give it everything on the loud pedal. Once he accelerates, he has to stay accelerated. You can't accelerate, decelerate, accelerate, decelerate. Eric Chung, with years of Ferrari Challenge race experience, he will be trying to anticipate when Jan Sandman is going to go for it. And I think he's gone, Nico.
Yeah, it looked like he did. And obviously the team and the driver coach will be assisting Jan. And I think he did a very, very good job. Eric Chung didn't quite manage to stay with him. Everybody else behind them, much closer together. So no immediate threat to Jan Sandman on P1 or on the first turn, but it's going to change potentially, or will he be able to stretch his legs? We'll find out.
Yes, we will. Let's get back to racing then. We have 19 minutes and a lap of racing to come from our Coppa Shell-Am category. Is under pressure now is Zoe Skrimpias for the final provisional podium place, because they're queuing up behind Zoe Skrimpias. There's Andreas Koenig, the driver of the 104 car. Right behind Andreas Koenig is Roland Hertner, who's looked menacing this weekend. And not far behind is Shintaro Akatsu. So, yeah, something like a four-way fight going on for this final podium place, provisional podium place, because we've still got a long way to go in the race yet. Now, what strategy have the teams used with their drivers? Are they running lower tyre pressures at the beginning of the race, knowing that the track temperature and the tyre pressures will increase as the tyres get hotter, and therefore, as a round has gone the 124 car, that's Talal Shayer. So Talal Shayer then, all on his own, I believe, and making contact with the barriers. And I regret to say there was something that you said earlier on, Nico, with regards to safety cars. If Talal is not able to get that car out on his own, then presumably there will need to be an intervention. And afraid to say that intervention is on its way. What was it you said and what was it I said about cursing by commentators?
I don't quite remember that, but obviously unfortunate that we're behind the safety car. We love to see the Ferrari cars on the track. The one that we don't necessarily always want to see is the safety car, safe for the start procedure. And there is Lisa Clark, who's come into the pit lane. But during the safety car phase, that means at least while the cars are passing through the area of the pit lane, that's where the pit exit is red, and that means you have to wait. I believe, well, I have to check with the rule book again. I think after that she's going to be released and she's not stuck for the entirety. But obviously unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I think that once the what's called the safety car and the crocodile behind the safety car has passed through that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that the P next to Lisa Clark's graphics on the left-hand side has turned into an O, and that means she's on her out lap. So she has been released, and that means she will rejoin the queue.
So we're back out with a safety car. Now the Talal share into the barriers. From the camera angle that we saw, Nico, it looked like, because under the safety car, the tyres will have cooled down a bit. And so you have to bring them back up to temperature again. It's kind of quite gradually. I am told, like I know what I'm talking about. And I just reckon that Talal gave it a little bit too much, and maybe the grip at the back end wasn't there when he expected it. I don't think there was any contact with any other car. I don't think there was an assist at all. But I am being cautious because I only saw one particular camera angle of that Talal share going around. Yeah,
equally we didn't see any indication from race control that any incident was under investigation, which may still come, but for the time being we assume that it has been a solo incident, and hopefully the car can be recovered quickly and we can go back to racing with well, that's this being the end of the safety car sequence.
Yes, minimum intervention, we hope. So we've regrettably seen both Talal Shire and Mutlu Tarzev out of the race. Now, for Jan Sandman, who with limited racing experience, I thought he coped with that safety car restart really, really well and delivered it by aplomb. He's going to have to do it all over again. And, of course, Eric Chung will now be wise to where Jan Sandman's preferred place of giving it large on the throttle was, although, of course, Jan Sandman may choose to accelerate at a completely different point when it comes to this restart. We will see. So, from a Drivers' Championship point of view, if everything finished right now, Zois Skrimpias would still lead on 105 points, and Eric Chung would vault a place up to P2. He'd be on 69 points, and so too would Andreas Koenig, but Eric Chung, well, up into P2 in the Drivers' Championship, but that's only if the race were to finish with the drivers in the positions that they are in right now. It's not. It's just a prediction model that we can bring you as part of the information that we were able to in our broadcasts, and we're delighted that you're watching this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell AM race. We're live from Portimão. It's race 2 of the weekend here in Portugal for our Coppa Shell AM drivers. From here, they will be heading off to the south of France. Right at the end of July, we'll be racing in Le Castellet. Very much looking forward to that, as we can see the Lisa Clark car, Lisa, like a number of drivers here, will be heading off to another racing circuit just next weekend, where they'll be racing in the Ferrari Challenge North America Series at Watkins Glen. So safe travels, Lisa. I'm sure I will see you at the end of this race in any event. So some of the images being studied down there in the garages, as well as all the driver coaches and engineers and team bosses, of course, in constant radio communication with the drivers, trying to keep them cool, calm and collected in this safety car phase. And once again, it's worth remembering that the tyres will have lost some temperature again, and they're going to have to be brought back into the heat cycle once we go back to racing once again. No indication yet when we have the safety car coming in, although I don't think it will be a long time in terms of recovering that Talal Shire car. So maybe the remainder of this lap plus one more before we will see the Richard Mills safety car come back in. So Jan Sandman, Eric Chung, Zois Skrimpias, Andreas Koenig are the top 4. It's going to be, and forgive me for one of my poetic expressions, it's going to be a dash for cash when the safety car does come in. It's going to be a really, really short race. And Jan Sandman got to do it all over again. Second time he'll have to negotiate a safety car restart. You can see the lights are still flashing atop the safety car. And when the lights are flashing on the safety car, it certainly isn't going to come in this time. So as I said, I think it's a conclusion of this lap and one more. So now we are getting the information that there might be some fluid on the track as well. Now, safety is paramount in the Ferrari Challenge, and therefore that will be dealt with before the cars will be released into racing. Progress chart on the left-hand side of your screen. Up 2 places, Eric Chung. Andreas Koenig up 3 places. Roland Hurtner up 1. Down 3, Shintaro Akatsu. Up 4, Andrea Levy. Up 4, Paolo Scudieri. Guy Favre up 1. And there you can see the rest of them in terms of where they've moved since the original start of this race. Try and share as much information with you as we possibly can. And there is the Louis Perusquia car and the Lisa Clark car there, running in P12 and P13. Now, Eric Chung weaving from side to side. Andreas Koenig also doing the same. The reason for that is to try and just maintain some temperature into the tyres, because when you're not at racing speed, quite clearly, the temperature on the tyres and the pressure for that matter drops a little bit. So what drivers try and do is try and maintain some heat in, and you might see them using the brakes as well, because the heat from the brakes dissipates out of the rims and onto the tyres also. And it's really interesting when you talk to different drivers about the strategy in terms of keeping the tyres in the operational window, and they said smooth weaving is great. And I'm talking about top Ferrari Challenge drivers that I've talked to about this. They say smooth weaving is great. When you're too aggressive on your weaving, you're actually being it's abrasive, and it's not really helping that heat cycle, because you're going to extremes. So it's smoothness. And the lights out on the safety car. I was just looking. No, it's still flashing. Yeah, you'll see there's gentle swerving from side to side by some of the drivers, just to, as I say, maintain some temperature and keep their pressures in their window as well. You can see that Eric Chung is champing at the bit to get going again, Nico. Eric Chung, race winner this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been overall it's been a very, very balanced season so far, with Eric Chung taking wins, Zois Grimpias taking multiple wins, Andreas Koenig a race winner already, Andrea Levy with quite a lot of very, very strong performances, and Jan Salmon would like to join that very elite list of drivers who have taken a race win here in Coppa Chelam.
I agree. It has been, the spoils have been, it hasn't been the non-stop Zois Grimpias show. Certainly he has been successful, and which is all the more remarkable, and proving what a great car this Ferrari Challenge car is, and what a great racing series it is. He has taken to it like the proverbial duck to water, but he hasn't had it all his own way. And we are being told the safety car will come in at the conclusion of this lap, and that is confirmed on screen for us all now from race control. So every driver goes through their preparation once again, and the dash for cash becomes even dashier, if I may say that, because by the time the safety car has come in, we're going to have like 8 minutes of racing to come. Therefore, Jan Sandman, Eric Chung, Zois Grimpias, Andreas Koenig, well, for Jan Sandman, he's going to have the difficult job of defending the race lead. For Eric Chung, Zois Grimpias, Andreas Koenig, Roland Hurtner, and all the other drivers behind, they, of course, want to take advantage of this opportunity that has been once again gifted to them by virtue of the safety car. So the Richard Mills safety car accelerates away from the pack behind, and it will peel off into the pit lane. Once again, Jan Sandman will control the pace of the restart from the safety car, and we will go back to racing as we look at Stephen Earle and the car of Guy Favre, and also Alvaro Ramos and Louis Perusquia, and there is Lisa Clark. So once again, same rules apply. Jan Sandman, he can accelerate, but once he accelerates, he's got to stay accelerated. Is he going to choose the same spot on the exit to the final turn when he gives it everything? Or is he going to go earlier? Is he going to go later? It's his decision and his alone. And it's down to Eric Chung and Zois Grimpias and Andreas Koenig to try and anticipate that, to see if they can take advantage. Hold on to your hats. We're about to go racing once again.
Yeah, and I think it's gone. And it was a similar spot, and again, it has worked really, really well. Eric Chung chasing Zoe Scrimpius a little bit closer. Oh, and there is some overtaking. I don't know if that was before the line. That's going to be something that they look at, because obviously you can't overtake before the safety car line has been passed.
You're absolutely right. It was Shintaro Akatsu on Roland Hurtner, and Shintaro Akatsu now trying to reel in Andreas Koenig. So yes, that's something that our race stewarding team, led by Claudio Garavini, will certainly take a look at, because there is no overtaking before the safety car line. So climbing uphill right now, Jan Sandman, he got that nailed absolutely perfectly, and he's broken away a little bit from Eric Chung, but those two have broken away significantly from Zoe Scrimpias as Andreas Koenig takes a look at the inside of the hairpin to try and convert. Now, has he got the momentum to go up the hill? Not quite. So this is the fight that's going on for the final podium place, potentially, between Zoe Scrimpias, Andreas Koenig, and Shintaro Akatsu. No messages yet from race control with regards to Shintaro Akatsu's move at the restart. But Zoe Scrimpias, his rear view screen is full of the Andreas Koenig car. And Shintaro Akatsu and Roland Hurtner want an invitation to this party to celebrate P3 potentially as well. And Andrea Levy is trying to get in on the act also. So this is far from over yet, with 6.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Ferrari Challenge Coppa Am here in Portimão. It's race 2 of the weekend for these drivers.
Yeah, and the long intervention has meant that track limits probably won't figure into this race, because the drivers have been able to keep it on the grey stuff for the majority of the race. So no threat from that corner, but certainly Andreas Koenig pushing Zoe Scrimpias certainly held him up a little bit. But that challenge now having gone away, Zoe Scrimpias will now focus on trying and get on terms with Eric Chung again.
Absolutely. Tyres back up to temperature now. The wonderful Pirelli tyres that the Ferrari Challenge cars are shod with, and here comes Shintaro Akatsu on the inside of Andreas Koenig, but surely he will carry too much speed. No, he doesn't. He manages to get the car rotated and behind. This is Andrea Levy and Roland Hurtner having a ding-dong battle, and going through is Andrea Levy, and right now Andreas Koenig trying to fight back against Shintaro Akatsu. This is all opening up. Paolo Scudieri trying to get into the action as well, so too Guy Favet, and now Zoe Scrimpias is right alongside Eric Chung as Andreas Koenig comes back at Shintaro Akatsu. And 1 or 2 drivers running really wide there. Paolo Scudieri managing to get it back out onto the tarmac. So here is Andreas Koenig. He was fighting with Zoe Scrimpias, but once Zoe had got the tyres up to temperature, he has now really taken it to Eric Chung as we watch the cars climb uphill. So, as you can see, Eric Chung is not really able to attack Jan Sandman ahead, and the reason for that is Eric Chung realizes that all of a sudden he's got to defend from Zoe Scrimpias.
Yeah, absolutely, and for Jan Sandman, that obviously is good news, as long as those two behind him are fighting, but on the other hand, he certainly doesn't want Zoe Scrimpias to go through, because he knows that he's been the crosshairs right away. But lots of battles here in the top 5, 6, 7. Really, really good restart, and 4.5 minutes remaining.
Look at the telemetry between Eric Chung and Zoe Scrimpias. They're almost matched. It's almost carbon copies. When the figures, the speedo is green, then of course they are accelerating as they are right now. And Zoe Scrimpias really accelerating on Eric Chung now. Is he going to try and take a move into the inside line going into turn number 1? 270 kilometers per hour, as near as makes no difference. King of the late breakers, Zoe Scrimpias, but Eric Chung was able to carry more momentum through turn number 1, and for the moment the threat from Zoe Scrimpias has gone away. There is no doubt about it, in my opinion, that Zoe looks a little bit quicker. However, it's all very well being a bit quicker. You've got to find a way by, and at the moment he's not been able to do that. So Eric Chung, with years and years and years of experience, car number 115 is under investigation for overtaking under the safety car procedure. That's the very car you can see here. The blue and white car of Shintaro Akatsu that's fighting with Andreas Koenig. Nico, you called that absolutely correctly, that the overtake came potentially before the safety car line. That's something that race control are looking at. They have access to so much data and even more screens than our comprehensive television production, I can tell you. So they will make the decision, and it will be the right decision. So for the moment, Shintaro Akatsu is under investigation. Andreas Koenig is under the cosh from him a little bit here as he's trying to defend. Andreas Koenig running in P4. Now Zoe Scrimpias sets the fastest lap, Nico, in his pursuit of Eric Chung. And there is Koenig, there is Shintaro Akatsu, and right with them now is Andrea Levy. Levy is right on the gearbox of Shintaro Akatsu. So this is the three-way fight that's going on for P4. So Shintaro Akatsu has to change his modus operandi, which was attack, to now defend, because he's right in the middle of this pitch, and therefore is hunting but being hunted at the same time.
Yeah, hunting, being hunted, being investigated. It's a very eventful one. He probably could do with one or two less of those factors, but he is focusing on what he can do and what he control himself, and that is drive the car and drive it to the best of his ability. Again, Zeus Grimpias has closed in on Eric Chung, and there is Shintaro Akatsu. He's going for the overtake again, and he has done it. I mean, it must be very frustrating because you are quicker, you can go past the other car, and it's in your DNA to just take that gap. And the fact that there is a white line painted on the asphalt, really, you really don't want to care about. But the rules are the rules, and therefore that's what the race control is doing.
Forgive me, Zeus Grimpias was taking a look then, and he had to bail out. That was very good driving from Zeus Grimpias. He very nearly made contact with the Eric Chung car. He dove out of it to make sure that he didn't. Now, bear in mind that car 115 of Shintaro Akatsu has got past Andreas Koenig. However, Shintaro is under investigation for the overtake on Roland Hertner at the safety car restart. So do bear that in mind. So presumably Andreas Koenig's team have told him of that investigation that's going on. So Go Motorsport Haupt Racing team will have informed their driver and said, look, just don't get into any messy fights, because it's potentially not worth it. However, Andreas can't even think about that at the moment because he's looking at the screen, the rear view screen, because Andrea Levy is diving to the inside there. So Andrea Levy and Andreas Koenig side by side almost, and this is for P5 right now. Jan Sandman continuing to lead, got a second over Eric Chung, and Eric Chung for the moment is able to show a clean pair of heels to the hard-charging Zeus Grimpias, who I should think had a heart-in-the-mouth moment as he took a look at the back end, and really rather too close to the back end of Eric Chung for his liking.
Yeah, definitely. They just started a lap, and that means this lap plus one more is going to be the race distance. Andrea Levy is at 3 track limit warnings, but he doesn't care here. He just goes for it, and he tries an overtake, and he makes it happen. As we can see on our screen, we had the first penalty for track limits went to Paulo Scudieri, who's struggling apparently a little bit with tires, but Andrea Levy has to be really, really careful in that situation. Good overtake done, but no more excursions, because that could be costly.
It was an exemplary overtake from Andrea Levy. He pitched it absolutely perfectly, and was making sure I was watching every centimetre of the tarmac, and he kept it well within the white lines. How he was able to get through turn one is beyond me, carrying as much speed as he did. But that is a testament to the car. Now, I am being told by race control that Shintaro Akatsu is going to pick up a time penalty. So for Shintaro Akatsu, who it was deemed overtake the Roland Hertner car under the safety car procedure, he is going to pick up a time penalty. You'll see details of that in graphics on the screen shortly. There is Andrea Levy driving the 171 car, running in P5, but that will become P4 when the penalty that you can see now of 25 seconds is applied to Shintaro Akatsu. That's going to drop him down from P4 to P12?
P10 currently as things stand with the gaps, but talking about gaps, the gaps are fairly close but not immediate striking distance. But Jan Sandman, he wanted at least P3. He is in P1 and he's starting the final lap. This could be his maiden win in the Ferrari Challenge Europe Coppa Shell Am, and he's got only one more lap to do. And Zeus Grimpias, he is pushing. He still wants that P2 from Eric Chung, but equally, he has shown a lot of maturity already this season. You get the feeling he definitely wants to get it done, but he also knows that he's racing for championship points.
Absolutely. Bank the points sometimes is a good strategy, but if you're a racing driver, the car in front of you is nothing other than a target. And Eric Chung is the car that he is considering his target at the moment. But I think you're right, he drives with maturity to Zeus, and he will be thinking of just banking the points. For Jan Sandman, it is an absolutely awesome race. It's been interrupted by the safety car a couple of times, but he still had to pedal that car, you know. And Jan Sandman we've seen the improvement from race by race by race, and has done a really, really good job. Bearing in mind, he's 1.6 seconds ahead of Eric Chung. Of course, Eric Chung is not as fast as he would like to be. The reason for that is having to defend from Zois Skrimpias, who, of course, would like to wrestle away P2 because it would garner him more points than P3. But Eric Chung, with all his years of Ferrari Challenge race experience, not only in Europe, but also in the former Asia-Pacific region and one race weekend in North America as well, he wants to use all of that experience to maintain his P2 position. He did a brilliant job right at the original start of the race, gaining 2 places. He's not going to surrender that, but not for surrender, neither is Jan Sandman, as he heads towards the checkered flag, his first win in the Ferrari Challenge in Europe. Congratulations, Jan Sandman, richly deserved. Eric Chung, P2, Zois Skrimpias, P3. Now, Shintaro Akatsu will cross the line, P4, but he gets dropped by 25 seconds, which elevates Andrea Levy, Andreas Koenig, Roland Herner, Guy Favre, Stephen Earle, and Paolo Scudieri. So you were absolutely right with your calculations, Nico. Shintaro Akatsu finishes P10. But huge congratulations to the Kessel Racing driver Jan Sandman, who celebrates victory here at the Portimão circuit in race 2 of Coppa Shell. And he will be utterly thrilled. He's quite a quiet young man, but having made his debut in the Ferrari Challenge this year, the win has come. And as I say, he did the hard work in qualifying, and it was a dominant performance in qualifying. You know, the gap between himself and the likes of Eric Chung and Zois Skrimpias and such like as Mrs. Chung. Corinne then. Hello, Corinne. She's absolutely lovely. The Chung's a lovely family. Picks up some water for her husband, and we'll be heading down into the pit lane to distribute said lubricant. So there we have it then. Well, it was a race, dare I say it, interrupted by 2 safety cars, but for all of that, there was plenty of excitement, particularly right at the end, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. And just to underscore that Jan Sandman really had it in the car, he also put in the fastest lap of the race on the penultimate lap. So
wow.
Just to show that he really was one with the car, and the team gave him a great 296 challenge to work with. So it's always also a team effort, and that's why we also see a representative of the team on the podium in a few moments. Really good performance. So he collects that extra point, and you never know what will count towards the end of the championship. He's certainly on an upward trajectory.
Every point is important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Kessel Racing, well done. Jan Sandman, amazing drive. Eric Chung, Zois Skrimpias.
I met Jan Sandman for the first time at Casa Ferrari at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year, towards the end of the year. And he hinted to me, because he's a Ferrari collector, absolute Ferrari enthusiast, and he hinted that maybe some racing was coming. He kind of, despite my journalistic efforts, tried to get it out of him in the nicest possible way. Then, of course, we met him at the Winter Challenge, which was just a few weeks after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And sure enough, he raced in that Winter Challenge. And there he told me that, hey, we're going to do a campaign in Europe. And he has been a very welcome addition to the Ferrari Challenge Europe ranks. And he will feel that that it's justified. This camaraderie between all these drivers is so nice to see. As Eric Chung, one of the first to go, and congratulate him. Jan Sandman taking the win from Eric Chung, P2. Zois Skrimpias, P3. Then it's Andrea Levy, P4, ahead of Andreas Koenig, Roland Hertner, Guy Favre, and Stephen Earle complete the top 8 in our Race 2 classification for our Coppa Shell AM drivers. And they are ahead of Paolo Scudieri. Shintaro Akatsu picked up a 25-second time penalty. Alvaro Ramos, Louis Peruskia. Then it was Lisa Clark, and, of course, during the course of the race, regrettably, Talal Sher and Mutlu Tarzev finding the gravel traps and could continue no further. Oh, fantastic stuff. I'm so pleased for Jan Sandman. Great job. He's and he's congratulated by one of his Kessel teammates, Von Skeltermar, who doubtless will be saying, I told you this was how to do it, Jan. Because Fons, of course, has done lots and lots of racing and been very loyal to the Kessel racing team over all his years of racing in the Ferrari Challenge. We're going to be hearing from Jan Sandman and discovering more about his success this afternoon in just a few moments from now as Corinna Gosner and Thomas Gosner there offer their congratulations as well, reinforcing this camaraderie amongst all the Ferrari Challenge family here in the paddock at every circuit we go to, not least here in Portimão. So let's hear from Ludovica, who is with our race winner.
Jan, congratulations. What an incredible day for you. As we told Kane this morning, after your qualifying session, you made an incredible work with your team, and you managed in the best way the feeling and the setup for this race.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a real pleasure to drive the car. The team set up everything perfectly. So very, very big thank you to my team. And especially I wanted to deliver a late birthday present for my coach, Charlie. He had birthday last race in Jerez. I fucked up P2 and had turn around. But now this is for you, Charlie, my birthday present. Late, but it's here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, apologies for any colourful language. He was saying that he wanted a birthday present for his coach, Charlie Hollings. So congratulations to you, Charlie, as well, as we take a look at the highlights. Once again, apologies for the excited language of Jan Sandman. So, Zois Grimpias then, right at the start, trying to do his level best, but he didn't quite have the grip around the outside. And there you can see, that's where Eric Chung was able to put himself ahead of Zois Grimpias. And it was a good move from Eric Chung. He had to be bold on the brakes and bold on the curbs, but bold he was, and it paid off. And various other drivers running a bit wide at the hairpin, but eventually all getting it going very, very nicely. Paolo Scudieri there chasing down the Andrea Levy car, and unfortunately the first to find the gravel trap was going to be the car of Mutlu Tarzev. And that, of course, brought out the safety car. And then it was Talal Shayer who, on cold air tyres, following the safety car, found the barriers. So 2 times Jan Salmon had to do it from a safety car restart, which he did. And here you can see that Shintaro Akatsu was absolutely determined to make progress forward, but it's all as naught because Shintaro Akatsu had picked up a penalty for overtaking during a safety car phase. So as Andreas Koenig fought back here, and Andreas Koenig feeling a sight better today than he did yesterday, but it was all about this man, Jan Sandman, who takes P1 ahead of Eric Chung and Zois Grimpias. That's the way the race unfolded, the Coppa Shell Am Race 2 from Portimão. So we're going to be heading up to the podium very soon, and the drivers to be presented with their trophies. Michele Mambelli is the presenter that's charged with the responsibility of bringing out the drivers in order for the podium, and I can hear him bounding into voice as we speak and bringing the first of the drivers out, which is going to be Zois Grimpias, of course, driving for the Ineco Republic Corsa Ram team. There he is, taking P2. Eric Chung makes his way. And his first win in the Ferrari Challenge in Europe. Well done, Jan Sandman. And national anthem to play out for Jan.
Il nostro applauso, our claps for the winners.
So with baseball caps respectfully removed, they can go back on right now. Von Skeltemar down there affording his congratulations, as are Corinna Gosner and Thomas Gosner, and Miguel Molina is here to make trophy presentations. Hopefully have persuaded him to join us on the air a little bit later on today. He, of course, Ferrari factory driver, and may I say it, Le Mans 24-hour race. Yes, of course I may say it. I'm never going to get tired of saying it. Well done to him, to Antonio Fuoco, and also to Ferrari Challenge protege Niklas Nielsen.
Absolutely. And for Dan Feldman, the first national anthem, you don't forget that. Certainly the first in Ferrari Challenge Europe.
You're absolutely right. So drivers all get together then for the obligatory photographs. Team, of course, of Kessel Racing join in, as does Miguel Molina. Smiles all round. Now, Miguel will hot-foot it before the champagne is uncorked. I can assure you he's pretty fleet of foot when it comes to that. Look, gone. Brilliant stuff. Okay, let's take a look at the cars that delivered the podium positions for our drivers who had to pedal them, of course, and taking P3. For Nico Rapata, Corsa Ram team, Zoe Scrimpias. P2 for Formula Racing and Eric Chung. And for Kessel Racing, his first win in the Ferrari Challenge, Jan Sandman. Let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship then. Zoe Scrimpias remaining P1 in the Drivers' Championship. Eric Chung is now P2, just 36 points behind. Andreas Koenig is dropped down to P3. Then it's Andrea Levy. Jan Salmon's there now on 54 points ahead of Shintaro Akatsu, Paolo Scudieri, Mutlu Tazev. They are the top 8 in the Drivers' Championship. Followed by Henrik Kamstrup and Roland Hurtner, Talal Shire, Stephen Earl, Guy Fave, Alvaro Ramos and Hassan Debussy, who's missing from this weekend, sadly. So there we have it then. Coppa Shell Am race is done and dusted. Up next, they, of course, will be racing at our next venue in Le Castellet. However, we've got more Ferrari Challenge racing to come here live this afternoon from Trofeo Pirelli and also from Coppa Shell and 488. Thank you for watching from Nico and myself. Bye-bye for now.